Well, good morning, ladies and gents, and a very misty morning at that. But with great power comes great responsibility, so we're out anyway, regardless of the crappy weather. And despite the moisture, it is still 18 degrees, so at least it's not cold. But anyway, yeah, what's the plan for today? What is it all about? Well, there's water trickling into my crotch. But that's not what it's all about. What it is all about is the blood bikers, guys like him there, who are 100% volunteers. They do this in their free time, and they get given a motorbike like that one there, and they put themselves on call, and they're available to deliver medical supplies between hospitals. Things like, obviously, they're blood bikers, so blood, then also other stuff like spinal fluid, bone marrow, and this obviously has the benefits of saving the NHS money, because obviously without this vital courier service, the NHS would have to use taxis, couriers and that kind of thing. And obviously a lot of these things are time sensitive. If you've got a blood sample that needs to get to a laboratory, it can't sit in a DHL van for 3 days. It's got to get there quickly, and obviously that means super expensive. So these guys, all they do is rocket between the hospitals and the labs and the various NHS facilities, delivering the stuff as quick as possible, and motorbikes are obviously the quickest way that you can get around on the UK roads, which are full of traffic. So yeah, it's a great service run by great people who obviously do it purely out of the good of their hearts. So yeah, I'm just going to tag along here for the day, see what it's all about, see what happens. So here we are rolling into our first station stop of the day, Stoke-on-Trent University Hospital, but obviously this is the tradesman's entrance. That's right, were you? I can't really record anything in there anyway. Yeah, while he's collecting cutting-edge bionic body parts, I will look after the machines. It's an absolute monster of a bike, isn't it? Well, so dynamic is the world of blood bike riding that we had originally come to make a pickup here at the Royal Stoke University Hospital. Turns out only one of 3 samples that we have to collect is ready, so rather than have to do that delivery run twice, we're going to head off to the next place and pick up the next collection at the next hospital. But the next collection is going to be bone marrow, which is very time sensitive. So once we pick that up, it has to get to its destination as quick as possible. And of course, to keep things interesting for ourselves, we've chosen a little bit of a B road route, but on the way back we need to swing back via Stoke to pick up the samples, which will hopefully by then be ready. But we'll have to see how quick this little route is, because as I said, time sensitive. We need to get down to Birmingham as quickly as possible, so calling into Stoke needs to be as quick as it can be. That kind of spoils things a little bit. So here we are arriving at our second station stop, Leighton Hospital. Here we're going to be collecting some bone marrow, which, as I already said, needs to be whisked off to Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Birmingham. Dun dun dun. But while he went in and collected the stuff that we need to take, I actually did a bit of tinkering, and it seems like the B roads are actually going to be the quickest way back. I do feel a real sense of pressure now, though, that I've programmed the route into the sat-nav, and on any bike trip it doesn't ultimately really matter how long it takes, but if I've cocked up the route and we get there too late, it could really cost someone. So these guys really have to deal with the pressure of the fact that they're delivering time-sensitive substances which could actually affect somebody's quality of life. Which means it's really important to remember the fact that blood bikers do this for free. It is an entirely volunteer-staffed and charity-funded organisation. And of course, with that in mind, I will naturally plaster the screen right now with links, and I'll also stick all these links in the description for ways that you can actually help the blood bikers, because any and all donations received go for paying for things like the bikes that they ride on, the petrol that powers the bikes that they ride on, and all of the other hidden costs that we can't even begin to imagine involved with running a service like this, which, let's be honest, is deeply, deeply important to our medical service in the UK. I can't remember the number exactly, but there is an astonishing amount of blood that's transported every year by these guys on the blood bikes, which would ordinarily need to be couriered at exorbitant cost. Here we are arriving back at Royal Stoke University Hospital Tradesman's. Hopefully they'll have some stuff ready for us.
Right, this is the boring bit, unfortunately, straight down the M6.
That is the motorway blast done, and that's Birmingham over there in the background. Here we are arriving at the very fancy looking Queen Elizabeth Hospital, Birmingham. It looks like we're going to ride straight through the revolving door there and up to reception. Or maybe not. Well, Ian has delivered his charge and we're on to the next destination, which I'm reliably informed is actually just that building over there, so just need to go round the block. So there we go, that's another one of our little deliveries finished, as well as a layer of clothes taken off and all my vents opened up because the weather has taken a glorious turn for the better. So Ian was telling me that when he first started doing the blood biking, I think it was in January, so he was saying he was going out to ride around in 0 to 5 degrees and being out for hours and hours at a time, so it's not just an endeavour for fair weather bikers. So obviously with that in mind, if you're not a fair weather biker, you can actually be a blood biker yourself. I have been informed that the only criteria, you have to be an advanced rider. Now that doesn't mean you just have to be really full of yourself and think you're great at riding. You actually have to have an IAMS or a ROSPA qualification. Or you can be a police rider. So here we are at our next station stop, the Heartlands Hospital. So there we go. I think this is going to be our last stop before we have a little break for lunch. Right then, another successful drop-off. It's time to go and drop some food off into our faces. And now it's onwards with our do-gooding. So now the plan of action is, because Ian is essentially on call right now, we're just going to go home, drink tea and spout codswallop at each other until another job comes in. So we'll see you in a minute after we've had a cup of tea and we find out what the rest of the day holds for us. Well, here we are back in Stoke, the sun's setting majestically behind me, and Ian did have another job, but I'm going to come clean, I didn't go with him. This is going to sound like excuses, but he said this was a very out of the ordinary job because he actually had to go to Manchester, which wouldn't be so bad as a little bit of a jolly, but he had to get there quickly, he had to get back quickly. As it is, he's been gone for 4 hours. So again, hats off to the chaps that do this blood bike stuff because they are ready to go and no questions asked. He just jumped on the bike, bosh, I'm off to Manchester. Anyway, that would have meant for me 3 to 4 hours on the motorway, plus my tyres are getting pretty low and I've got the 2-day Moto Cafe tour starting tomorrow and it would be a nightmare if I had to stop or cancel or delay that trip because my tyres wore out. So I made the very weak, selfish decision not to go with him and I stayed at home and drank more tea and spouted codswallop at my mum instead. Something about this scenario just makes me feel like they might not want us to go in that direction. Amazing the pretty little places you find though when you have to go off the ordinary beaten track. But now that Ian's back from his last drop off today, we've got just one job left and that's to fill up the bike with petrol and then drop it back off at the depot and he's done for his shift. I really hope that this video has perhaps shown you a tiny little bit about what's involved with the blood bikes, but I personally think it is an absolutely fantastic organisation, charity, service, whatever you want to call it, and I say hats off to all of the people involved with it, I really do. So with all of my gushing in mind, please do check out the links and things in the description. If you feel like you want to give them some support, chuck some money their way, and also if you fancy donating some of your time doing this good work that they do, they're always looking for new people to get involved, and they don't just need bikers either actually. You can help from one end of the system to the other. So you can work in the office, you can work on the phones, you can be out in the streets collecting money, you can be washing the bikes. There's a whole swathe of ways in which you can help. That was a great little stretch of road. What a way to finish my day off with the blood bikes. Here we are back at base, the circle is complete. That was a very enjoyable little day out. Thank you very much for watching. Hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, it would be wonderful if you could just lean on the like button. It would be even better if you could send a little love, even if just a little bit of encouragement, in the direction of the blood bikers. They do a great job and they do it for nothing. And I'll see you on the next exciting adventure with me, AndyManCam. Take care, and I'll see you out there. Ta-ra!